All right, today we're diving into a really big question, one that thinkers all over the world are starting to ask. Are our modern systems, in our schools, our workplaces, even our doctor's offices, are they actually designed for us as humans to flourish or for something else entirely? Let's get into it.
We're going to start with this pretty shocking statement from psychiatrist Paul Collins. Just let that sink in. The field that's supposed to be all about our mental health doesn't have a working theory for what it means to actually thrive. So, what's the goal then? And what does that say about all our other systems? And right here, this is the fundamental conflict. Our systems, they love things like conformity, efficiency, standardization. They're built like machines. But we, as humans, have these deep needs for flourishing, for genuine connection, for authenticity. And you can feel that gap, right? That growing disconnect between the gears of the system and the people it's supposed to be serving.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. This is real. It's a feeling people are having everywhere. That nagging sense that you're being asked to squeeze into a box that just wasn't built for you, well, that's becoming a shared global experience.
So, let's start by rethinking mental health. We're going to look at how this all plays out through the eyes of a psychiatrist who started to seriously question his own profession.
Paul Collins lays out some pretty heavy critiques. He basically says that psychiatric diagnoses are often just collections of symptoms without a really solid biological foundation. This leads to a diagnostic manual that just gets bigger and bigger every few years, a laser focus on what's wrong with you instead of what it takes to be well, and a system that isn't really centered on the actual patient. And this gets to the absolute core of his point. Are we taking normal, natural variations in how people think and feel and labeling them as diseases? Is what we call neurodivergence actually just a part of human diversity that our super rigid systems can't handle? I mean, really think about this for a second. If you have heart trouble, they run an EKG. If you break your arm, you get an X-ray. But in psychiatry, as Collins points out, we're prescribing incredibly powerful, mind-altering drugs, often without a single biological test to confirm what's going on. That's a profound difference.
Okay, now let's pivot. Let's turn to our second section, reimagining education. Because, and this is wild, a strikingly similar story of a system under strain is happening in our schools. Educator Jerry Doherty makes this fantastic point that our industrialized school model has basically stripped subjects like math of all their humanity. We think of math as this cold, robotic thing, but for most of human history, it was this deeply creative, philosophical, and awe-inspiring art form. And this has very real consequences. Paul Collins, the psychiatrist we just talked about, was actually labeled a naughty student back in the day. And why? Because he had the nerve to ask why he needed to learn about triangles. He needed context. He needed to know why it mattered. The system didn't have an answer, so it just labeled him as the problem. This is where educator Kimberly Olive Cooper comes in with just the perfect metaphor. She says our social structures are like outdated operating systems. They're clunky, they're full of bugs, and they're just not serving the users. That's us. And you'd never blame the user when their computer crashes, right? No, you fix the system. You get an update. So we've got these two massive parallel problems in our core systems, but what's causing all these different thinkers to connect the dots right now? Well, that brings us to section 3, the AI mirror. Because the catalyst, maybe surprisingly, is artificial intelligence. This is the incredible part of this whole story. You have a psychiatrist, you have educators, parents, all working in different fields, on different continents, totally isolated from one another. And then they start using AI as a kind of thinking partner, and they all independently arrive at the exact same realizations about the world. How on earth is that possible? Well, the answer seems to be this new idea called relational intelligence. The huge insight here is that intelligence isn't some thing stored inside your skull. It's a dynamic that emerges from the relationship, from the connection between things, whether that's between two people, or a person and an AI, or even a person and the natural world. And here, Kirsten Stevens just reframes the whole thing beautifully. She suggests that maybe we should stop seeing AI as this artificial alien thing, and instead see it as a mirror, showing us a form of networked intelligence that's always existed in nature, like the incredible connected intelligence of a forest ecosystem. AI is helping us see ourselves in a totally new light. So if our old operating system is broken, what does the new one look like? What's the upgrade? In Section 4, we're going to look at a real tangible blueprint for change. Kimberly Olive Cooper's Thrive Now School offers this amazing blueprint. It's built on 4 pillars. First, you create an inclusive community, a safe space to learn. From there, learning is driven by inquiry. It's about letting curiosity lead, not just memorizing facts. Then, their curriculum breaks down those artificial walls between subjects. You see how math and art and history all connect. And finally, assessment isn't just about a letter grade. It's about self-reflection and showing what you know in all kinds of ways. It's about real growth. And the values guiding this whole model are totally holistic. It's not just about you. Growth is defined across 4 spheres: how we thrive as individuals, how we thrive in our relationships, within our larger community, and as caretakers of our planet. It's this deeply interconnected vision of what it means to be well. Paul Collins gives us one single word that ties all of this together: coherence. He argues that healthy living systems are coherent. They're open, they're relational, they're always learning and adapting. That's what makes them resilient. Incoherent systems, on the other hand, are closed, rigid, and dogmatic, and eventually they just break. And once you know what to look for, you see coherence everywhere in nature. It's in the mycelial networks, the wood wide web that connect an entire forest. It's in the spiral patterns you see in galaxies and in seashells. Nature is basically shouting at us that connection, not isolation, is the master key to thriving. Which brings us to our final section and to the massive choice that this new understanding puts right in front of us. Are we going to choose coherence, or are we going to choose control? But as Paul Collins wisely warns, let's not be naive here. For every group of people trying to use these insights to help humanity flourish, there are probably way more people asking, how do we make more money out of this? How do we get more power? The same tools can be used for very, very different purposes.
The stakes really could not be higher. Understanding networked intelligence is a bit like discovering E equals mc squared. It unlocks a tremendous amount of power. It could be used to liberate us and build an incredible future, or it could be weaponized for control and domination. The potential for both is absolutely massive.
And so that leaves us with this final, essential question. If we accept this idea that real intelligence, real creativity, real flourishing doesn't happen in isolation but in the space between us, then the most important choice we all face is deciding how we want to connect with each other, with our technology, and with the world. Our future really depends on that choice.